Welcome to Behind the Muscle podcast. Today's guest is an IFBB Pro bodybuilder and the 2022 Team Universe overall men's open bodybuilding champ. Today's guest is Tyrone Bundy. Tyrone, welcome to the podcast, my man.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure, man. So before we hit record, I said I'm super excited to chop it up with you. You're 1 week into being an IFBB Pro bodybuilder. So we're going to get into last weekend's overall win at Team Universe. But before we get there, I've just got a couple of questions I want to start our conversation with. So tell us, Tyrone, who are a few of your favorite bodybuilders of all time?
All time, I would say old school, Flex Willer. I really like his symmetry, his overall just physique. And then right now, currently, I like C-Bomb and I like Ruffin, Terrence Ruffin.
Awesome, man. All right. So at what age did you start lifting weights, Tyrone? And then why did you start lifting weights at that specific age?
So I started lifting weights when I got to high school, so probably around like 13. Before that, my dad used to have me do a lot of calisthenics, so that was something I always was into, which was, doing push-ups, pull-ups, and dips. But started lifting weights when I was 14, and that's, I played football, wrestled, ran track my whole life. So, playing sports, you had to work out and lift, and that was just something I kind of fell in love with.
Very cool, man. So I want to kind of get into your childhood, get into your upbringing just a little bit, hence the name Behind the Muscle, because there's a lot more to us than just the lifting weights and the bodybuilding. So where did you grow up, Tyrone? You mentioned that you played sports. Talk about maybe the influence of your parents, influence of any, coaches, teachers. What were you like as a young kid? Talk to us a little bit about that up to about high school, and then we'll move on from there.
Okay. Well, as far as just my childhood, my upbringing, my mom played a major role. She still does. As far as sports, my mother and my father, they both were athletic. My mom ran track. My dad ran, my dad played football. My mom played basketball. So as far as genetically and just being a person who's into sports, it was kind of meant for me to do it. As far as growing up, from a young boy, about 5 years old, I started playing football. Played football my entire life. Also got into wrestling. Those was things that I always did. As far as track, I ran track too. So I always did sports that complemented one another. And for me, it was always something that went back to football. That was something I really loved doing. Something I also did throughout, middle school, high school. And for me, as far as playing sports, that was just something I love to do. Being athletic, being someone that's always doing something, that was something I was always, into. As far as my childhood, my mom kept me active. She kept me in sports, because she was into them and she was always there. So yeah, that's pretty much how it was until high school, and then going into college as well. I played college football. Same thing there. She always supported me. As far as sports, that's something, working out, all of that's just been a part of my life throughout my whole entire life. It's something that was kind of embedded in me. For
sure. Now, did you have some football idols or sports idols, athletes growing up? I mean, I grew up in the 90s. So the Bulls were big time and stuff like that. So did you have some athletes that you really idolized or looked up to? And if so, who were those, Tyrone, those athletes?
So as far as in football, a lot of the, I guess you say early 2000 guys like Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu, Sean Teller's probably one of my favorite athletes. I liked a lot of defenders, Ray Lewis. Those were guys that I looked up to and kind of wanted to model my game after. As far as playing football, I played offense, but defense was always my thing for me. I never liked getting hit. I mean, I could take a hit, but I never liked getting hit. I usually like being the one to dish out the hits. So those were guys that I constantly watched and, used as inspiration. Brian Dawkins, for me, those were guys that I looked up to and, kind of wanted to model my game after and found that as an influence in my game.
Yeah, for sure, man. A few of those guys you named were Miami Hurricane athletes. And I know Miami back in the early 2000s, man, I was like in high school and they were just the NFL talent come out of Miami was just wild, whether you liked them or not. It was, you had to respect their talent. USC was pretty legit back when I was in high school too. So that's pretty cool. Now, in terms of school academics, were you kind of like myself and a lot of other athletes, you kind of went to school because you had to play sports, or was that something that you really enjoyed and took pretty serious?
Growing up, when I was younger and probably until about high school, I was always like an AB student. I was always fairly a shy kid, rarely talk much. So that was like always my personality, even prior until I almost got to college. That was just my personality. When I got to high school, that's kind of when my grades and like the school thing kind of started to go down until about my junior, senior year. So like even getting college offers and going to school was kind of hard for me. And the only reason I went to college was because I was playing football. If I wasn't playing football, I probably wouldn't have went to college. But yeah, growing up, I'd say probably until about high school, I was an AB student, very shy kid. In high school, still fairly shy, but kind of opened up and got more friends. And we're playing football and being like, a person that started on varsity and someone was really good. I kind of got more out there and kind of opened up a little bit, but still was kind of shy. And then, like I said, I picked up my grades and kind of wanted to do better because I wanted to go to school to play football around my junior, senior year. And then, like I said, going into college, that's probably when I did my best. But that's, because I kind of matured and didn't have my mother there or people to kind of watch over me. I had to figure it out on my own.
Yeah, for sure. Makes sense. So talk to us then a little bit, Tyrone, about going to college, playing football in college. What was that experience like? And what did you study? And, once you kind of graduated college, where did life take you after that?
Yeah. So, going to college was a great experience, man. I always tell people or younger kids that I speak to, because I say I'm a trainer, also train athletes. And one thing I tell younger kids or younger people is that college isn't for everybody, but it's definitely something that you should go experience, even if it's just for 1 year, just to get away from your parents and kind of live on your own and just experience like the lifestyle, because it's a great experience. For me, I got lifelong friends that are like brothers now from going to school, and that's why I really appreciate myself for taking that chance to go to school and actually stay all 4 years, because I got lifelong friends, relationships with people. I met some amazing people in college. And then playing football, I went to a smaller school, but our school was really good. The 4 years I was there, we went undefeated twice, won our conference twice, went to the college playoffs twice. So we were really good and really dominant for the years that I were there. And it was a great experience. I had some really good coaches. One of my favorite coaches was Bill Shuey, still to this day, probably one of my best coaches. He was our defensive coordinator. And, he taught me not just on the field, but off the field. And, he's just a great man. And, some people like that, they change your life as well and your outlook on different things. And, overall, just college was a great experience, man. I always tell people, if you ever get a chance, just take advantage of maybe doing 1 year, because, it's definitely something that's different than, being back home and, working a steady 9 to 5 or, being around your friends and being around the same things. It kind of changes your outlook on different things.
For sure. What do you feel like when you were in college, Tyrone, was your biggest lesson that you kind of learned through that college experience?
I would say responsibility. Like I said, when you're in high school or you're a kid growing up, especially if you got your parents around, they're there to help you, wake you up if you're not ready to go to school, make your food, make sure you're going to appointments, making sure you're on time for things. They're just there to kind of be that security blanket, but when you're in college, granted, you can still call your parents and still reach out and things of that nature, but they're not there to make sure that you're doing everything you're supposed to. So, having to grow up is a real thing. And, some people do, some people don't, and then like you'll have people who drop out of school, and that's because they couldn't grow up, or they, it wasn't the right time for them. So for me, I would definitely say responsibility and, and becoming more mature, becoming an adult or a young adult. That's something that I learned a lot about college.
What did you study when you were in college?
So I studied business management and a minor in marketing.
Okay, cool. So once you got done with college, where did life kind of take you? What were your plans once you graduated? Did those plans unfold the way you wanted them to, or did life kind of take you in a different direction?
Yeah. So after college, like anybody who plays football, you want to pursue it professionally. So I tried that for a few years. After I graduated, I went to Temple's Pro Day, performed there. It was all 32 NFL teams there. Spoke to a few recruiters there or scouts there. But it's hard when you're doing that process and don't have like a management team or, agency behind you. So I did that. I tried out for a couple of CFL teams and went to a couple of other camps and things of that nature. But after, that constantly doing those things and putting kind of my life off for football to like pursue that, I figured it was kind of time to like kind of move on with my life and figure out something else. That's when I kind of got real serious into personal training, which then I started my own brand and my own LLC, which is Gorillafit. And that's also the name of my Instagram and like the name of everything that I post. But I ended up starting that, starting my LLC. And I was working at a juvenile facility. So I was working at a school for juveniles, doing that, and then running my own business outside of that, which was consistent of personal training, selling my merchandise, which I'm wearing one of my shirts now, Gorillafit t-shirts, hoodies. I have waist trimmers, and pretty much just working on building my brand and putting myself out there. And that's kind of where things went after pursuing football and graduating from college, and that stuff kind of didn't work out. That's where it kind of took me.
Now, once you were done with football, because I played college football, and once I was done playing college football, like I literally had an identity crisis because all I knew growing up was sports, right? And when you're a part of, especially a college football team, like you're automatically something or somebody, right? Especially I went to small colleges, kind of like you, and you're somebody, right? And you kind of when you're young, you feed off that ego, you feed off that pride, and then when it's all over, like it is for all of us at some point, it's hard. And it was some of the hardest days of my life. So did you experience a little bit of that struggle once you knew that the NFL wasn't going to call, or
can you assist your colleagues?
Yes. Yeah. So I did just for a little. I mean, and I experienced it because one of my cousins, he plays in the NFL, and we went to the same pro day, and that year he actually got drafted in the first round. His name is Hassan Reddick, and when it came out, when I wasn't able to really achieve, the level that he was able to achieve, obviously it was like, it was hard to see that, but it was also good to see that he was able to reach that level. But that's kind of where my head was when I was seeing him still be able to pursue it, and it kind of got me down because that's what I want. I still want to be able to play football, be able to be around my teammates, be around a football environment, because no one knows what that's like unless you've ever been there. The locker room, being around the guys, laughing, joking. But once I got into training and building my own brand, I kind of fell in love with that. I always loved working out. That's always been something I did. Even if I wasn't playing football or any sports, I was always going to the gym, always working out. That's just something I love to do. So for me, once I kind of got my own thing going, I miss football. Granted, even when I still see it today or watch people play, I miss being in the pads and things like that. But it's not the same feeling like how it was when I first got done. Like now that I have my own thing going for me, and like I said, with my own brand and merchandise and building my own business, it doesn't really bother me as much, or it didn't at that moment.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. Now, talk to us about when you kind of transition into bodybuilding, Tyrone. When did you first, like, because training for being an athlete is different than bodybuilding. So how did you first get kind of introduced to bodybuilding or exposed to bodybuilding, and talk about when you kind of first started to train like a bodybuilder?
Yeah, so actually, so back in 2018, that's when I started. 2018, I was slim. So after I got done pursuing football as well, I kind of stopped lifting weights and got real heavy into doing cardio and working out with resistance bands. That's when I kind of fell in love with that type of training. And I went from probably 225 after, pursuing football to down to 185. And it was like a slim 185, not like keeping all your muscle like you would do, in bodybuilding. And I was just, falling in love with that. And then, I met one of my first coaches, Sue and Bruce. They're both of my two first coaches. I met them in the gym, but Sue, she came up to me, same as Bruce. They would always come up to me in the gym I used to work out at in New Jersey called Edge Fitness. And they would come up to me and see me and, let me know that, I have a great physique and it's something that, I should do. I have a great physique, even though I was kind of slimmer. I guess they could see something I couldn't see in myself. Something they always told me, I have a great physique, you should try it out. And after a bunch of times asking me and kind of hassling me about it, and then I was working out with Sue, my old coach, and she was helping me with different workouts and letting me know how to properly train. I ended up deciding, telling them yeah, I'll do a show. So I did my first show back in 2018. I did the Big Cat in Lehigh Valley, and I did True Novice, and Open Class B and Classic Physique. I won both the Novice and True Novice, and I came in second in the Open Class B for my first show. And that was after probably just 2 or 3 months of doing bodybuilding, lifting and bulking up, and doing an off season, and then getting right into cutting. But that's when I started bodybuilding, lifting back in 2018. And then from that point on till now, is the progress and, the change that you guys have seen. So that was my first show. Then COVID happened. So I didn't do my second show until that was last year, May. And I did the Lehigh Valley Classic or Championship. And I did that one and I came in heavier. So I did light heavy. And then this was my third show, which you guys just seen at NPC Universe, and my first national show.
So you've competed 3 times and you earned your IFBB Pro card then, huh? After your third show.
Yes.
You're the type of people that most of us just don't like, Tyrone, because man, that's wild, dude. Some people are going for 10, 15, 20 years, but okay. So super cool story. Now, before we get into Team Universe and all that, I want to go back to your first competition, because a lot of times, especially the guys that are coming out of football, somebody says, hey, you should get into bodybuilding. They look at the posing trunks or whatever, and they're like, I'll never stand up and do that. No way. And then sometimes it kind of wears on them. But did you kind of have that mindset? Did you have to kind of warm up to the idea of actually stepping on stage and flexing in what people think are a thong or something like that?
It was more so, it was the posing, because when you first get into the sport, anyone who first gets into the sport, your posing is god awful. So getting comfortable with the posing, and like you said, also realizing you have to get naked pretty much and be in front of a bunch of people and, do the posing. And then also one of the most nerve-wracking things for me was the posing routine. So that was something that was wow, I gotta kind of dance to music while posing. I'm like, I don't know if I could do this. And actually a funny story is that probably about 2 weeks out from the show, I actually told my coaches I was done. I was I'm over it. I don't want to do this anymore. And they told me, it was you're 2 weeks out. You went through hell already. You might as well just finish it. And I was thankful that they did that, because obviously for my first show I did very well. But yeah, I was like everybody else. I don't know if I can do that. Like, and then like, you get the perception of the sport is like, am I even going to be big enough to compete with these guys? Is like, you look at the sport of bodybuilding, anyone who looks from outside looking in is like, the first thing you think of is guys like Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler and like these massive human beings. And you're like, I don't look anything like that or never will. So, that's like your first, at least for me, my first thoughts is like, but then after, working out, kind of getting a little comfortable with the posing, it doesn't really bother you that much. And after your first time stepping on stage, once you step on stage and then you do prejudging all that, the butterflies or whatever you had is like gone, so then you get ready for the finals if you make it, and then like you kind of get more comfortable as it goes on.
Yeah, for sure. Now, when did you, was it after that first show, you kind of were like, okay, I'm going to continue to pursue this bodybuilding thing? Or did it kind of take a little bit longer after that first show to get you kind of like, all right, this is something I really want to do with my life?
Nah, after the first show, that was something I was like, I want to do because probably, I don't know if it's for everybody, but I know for me, I love doing it because I love the way I look and feel after going through a bulking and cutting down. Because when I looked at my pictures, I always go back and look at how I look before my preps. Because, as bodybuilders or anybody that's in this sport, we kind of critique and go through our heads like, we look terrible. I don't look good constantly. And then I go back and I look at how I look before my prep and I'm like, wow, I look amazing. So like, seeing myself at that first prep, going back to how I looked and looking at myself when I stepped on stage, I'm like, yeah, I was like, I got to do this again. I was like, I look amazing. I was like, I can imagine what I look like, next year. So for me, that's kind of what got me going to like want to keep on doing. It's like, and then you kind of, it becomes a habit. So like, as far as the eating, as far as the workout routines, you get so structured that it's like you feel like you can't do anything else. For me, I still love doing my athletic training because I'm an athlete. So occasionally I do athletic movements or explosive movements because that's something I never want to lose. But doing my regular compound lifts and the things that we do as bodybuilders, it's something that's just like embedded in me now. And then like as far as even just the eating and weighing stuff out and measuring things out, it's just like I don't know anything else now.
Well, it becomes a lifestyle, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. And if you want to be elite in terms of bodybuilding, if you want to be great, if you want to win, you've got to adopt the lifestyle of bodybuilding, not just the casual working out and competing every once in a while. So now you said in your first competition you were classic physique, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, now when you competed in your second show in 2021, were you still classic physique or did you go to open men's bodybuilding in 2021?
Yeah, so I went to open men's bodybuilding. I went to light heavy.
Okay, now what was the reasoning behind going from classic to open? Was it just because you put on so much size or what was the why behind that?
Yeah. So put on too much weight and put on too much weight to come down to, and in an amateur, for my height at 5'8", the weight cap is like 183 or something. It's like very low. And for me, that second off season, I got to like 221, and to come down all the way to 182 or 3, me and my coach, we just thought it was too much to sacrifice, and sacrifice too much muscle and too much of what we had. So, and that was the same thing with this year as well. But yeah, like it was just too much of a jump to go down. So we just decided to move up. And, my coach always tells me I have a good amount. I have a lot of muscle and, a great amount of muscle density. And that's something that, I'm able to compete with bigger guys, even though I don't weigh as much as those guys.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, talk to us a little bit, Tyrone, about your training and how it's evolved. So are you training the same that you did when you started? Has your training evolved? Has it changed over the last several years? If so, how do you kind of train now? What's your philosophy? How has it changed over the last several years, if it has?
Yeah, so it has changed as far as just learning different techniques, different movements, working out with different people. Different people teach you different hand placements, even just watching different people like John Meadows, obviously rest in peace to him, but like watching guys like that, Charles Glass, like, some of these older guys, and even just some people that I train with that have different variations of doing things, and just picking up different things like that over the years and incorporating that to my lifting. Now, as far as weight wise, I lift heavy here and there, but for me, I lifted so heavy in college and like with terrible technique, and like that was something that we did on a daily basis. For me, I don't find it necessary to lift heavy. Some guys feel differently, but for me, slow and control, time under tension, and having a nice weight that keeps you, close to failure, that 1 to 2 rep range from failure. That's something that I kind of consistently do. And also I switch up the rep counts. Sometimes I'll go, hypertrophy 10 to 12, or, there's days where I'm repping it out and I'm, doing things for 20 to 25 reps. So the training has switched as far as that, and, just making sure I constantly confuse the muscles. But, and as far as lifting heavy, like I said, I'm only 28, but, as far as like joints and elbows and knees, back, some of those things bother me sometimes. And I said that's from college because of power cleaning and hand cleaning and those constant, Olympic lifts and, benching and squatting the wrong way because we didn't know any better. We were just taught to get the weight up. Those things bother me. So I don't push, super crazy weight because it's not always necessary.
Right. Absolutely. What's your current training split, or what was your training split kind of throughout this entire prep, if you don't mind sharing that?
Yeah. So throughout the entire prep, probably so everything was pretty much the same until about a month or 2 out. So it was either, I do one body part a day. So usually it was chest or back on Monday. So usually I'll say back on Monday, chest on Tuesday. I'll do shoulders on Wednesday. I'll do my legs on Thursday. Friday, I'll do arms. And then Saturday, I'll probably do chest and back together. I usually hit those. I was hitting those twice a week. So I usually do those on Saturday, and then Sunday was my off day. And then probably out until a month out from the show, month and a half, I started incorporating adductors, abductors, and hip thrusts every day for about a month and a half to work on my glutes and my hamstrings to get those as tight as possible. And, which it did. My glutes finally were shredded this year, and my hamstrings were also really, really deep this year. So that was something that me and my coach kind of threw into the routine, even when I was doing upper body, still hitting those afterwards. So that was that. And as far as cardio, I didn't do a bunch of about 45 minutes of fasted cardio in the mornings, and that was 6 times a week. And Sundays, like I said, was my off day.
What type of recovery in terms of like chiropractic, massage, stuff like that, do you kind of incorporate that, or is that something that you're still needing to work on a little bit?
Yeah, so I incorporated a few times more this year than my other previous preps. Like this year, I try to do everything I could to the best of my ability. Obviously, you always do your best in preps, but this one, this was probably the toughest because I was try to be extremely detailed and follow every little thing and do every little thing right because obviously this was one of the biggest stages I could be on. So yeah, I incorporated more this year, such as like massaging, getting stretched out, making sure I was always stretching. So that was also something that I did this year that I incorporated into my routines. I always did like 15 minutes of stretching before I did whatever workout I did. So if I was doing chest, I made sure to stretch out my chest and shoulders before I did the workout. Same for back, stretch out my lats, my lower back. Then legs, same for that. My hips, my groin, my calves, hamstrings, quads. Make sure I stretch everything out before I get into doing any workouts. So that was something I kind of took a lot of pride in this year. And also with my sleep, I tried to be a little better this year, especially since this year I was really like up very early this year. Usually earlier. I'm a morning person, but I was up at like about 4 every morning this year. So, as far as getting my sleep, I had to make that an extreme priority too. So I tried to do my best this year, which I felt like I did. Obviously you always get better.
Yeah. Okay. Before we get into Team Universe talk, I want to kind of get into the professional side in terms of you creating Gorillafit and then also personal training, because bodybuilding is great, but it doesn't really pay a lot of bills for most people. So how have you kind of liked getting into personal training, and what do you feel like, personal training, working with Gen Pop, working with athletes, what have you kind of learned about yourself and people in general through personal training, Tyrone?
So what I've learned through personal training, that you have to have patience. It's taught me a great deal of patience because, being an athlete, being someone who's athletic, I'm usually good at picking up movements or being able to do exercises and anything like that. You have to learn that you got to be patient with clients and people in regular gym pop, because not everyone is you. Not everyone can do what you can do or have the abilities to do what you can do. You have people who, it may sound hard, it may sound simple, but you have people who can't just sit on a box and stand up, and do it the proper way with their feet straight, feet shoulder width apart. And that's something that you might have to cue a bunch of times. And, that's just something that, like I said, you just have to learn how to have patience, even with training athletes. For me, I train kids. So like having patience with kids, because kids have a short attention span. They don't focus. They don't listen. So like for me, personal trainers have taught me patience, and also that not everyone is ready to get on the fitness journey. You have to let them make up their mind and kind of like get on their own path when they're ready. You can't force this upon anybody, because I've had people who felt like they were ready, or I kind of like egged them on to kind of getting into training, and they weren't ready for it. And with that, it hinders the process, it hinders the progress. And that's also something I learned, that, when people are ready, they'll get on this journey and they'll put their full effort into it whenever their time is right for them.
For sure. Now, in terms of Gorillafit, why don't you go into a little bit more detail about that? Because that's something that I saw on your Instagram, and it's something you said that you're really trying to build your own brand and build this business. So where did you kind of get the idea of Gorillafit? Why do you kind of want to start your own thing? Talk to us a little bit about that and kind of where you want this to grow and go in the future.
So as far as this growing and going in the future, I want this to be like a household name. Like I said, I sell merchandise. So as far as building my brand, I didn't have it at my last show, but before my other show, I had everyone wearing my merchandise who were there to support me. So like, that's something I want to see. Like, I want to see, once I get a bigger following and things start working out for me, and things start going the right way, I want this to be a household name. I want to see people wearing Gorillafit, people repping Gorillafit. And also I want to have my own brick and mortar. So, I do want my own gym. That's something that I do want, and have my own establishment, so where I don't have to personal train my entire life. I have something that I can create a system where it's set in stone, where I can just have the system run for itself. I can overlook the gym, and if I want a personal train, I have my few clients here and there. But that's something that I want this to grow into. Now, as far as coming up with Gorillafit, it was just something that was quick. It was simple. It was something that fits me. One of my favorite animals is a gorilla. And doing fitness, it was just one that I came up with. It was like, I love Gorillas, Gorillafit. I'm like, that's simple, it's easy. Let's check and see if it's available with an LLC. It was made into an LLC, and then from there, at first I procrastinated. I didn't take full advantage of everything I could have. I was a little slow with coming out with merchandise. I was a little slow with making a website, and that's just because not being in the right mental space. But as the years went on, I created my website, got more merchandise out there, started working with vendors, started doing more networking events, going to vendors events, talking to more people. But yeah, I just, where I want Gorillafit to be, I want it to be a household name, and now being in the bodybuilding world, something I never thought about, but it's something I would be interested in, is, having my own nutrition brand, Gorillafit nutrition brand. That's something that also I would definitely be interested in, especially, because this is not, to diss any other, culture or race, but, in the Black community, we don't have too many people where I'm from, promoting, nutritional things and great ways of living and, things that people are supposed to be eating and drinking and supplements and things that are supposed to be helping people. We don't have people, around us doing that. And that's something that I want to be able to be the person that can provide that, because I look the part, I live the life, all the supplements that I'll be telling people to take is things that I'm doing myself, so, and it's just something I want to kind of get my people into doing because, it's not something that we're used to or accustomed to doing. So, but yeah, that's like where I want this to grow. I just want this to be a household name eventually.
Yeah. And what you, just to speak on what you said, just, the last thing there, kind of bringing nutrition and fitness to your people, quote unquote. Like, I love that, man. Cause I actually lived in inner city Detroit for almost a year and worked at the downtown YMCA. And that's something that's kind of been on my heart for a long time is, how can we, doesn't matter what color your skin is, but how can we who are passionate about bodybuilding, passionate about lifting weights, bring that into, let's say, like the inner city or to some of these, populations that maybe, just don't have those resources, like you said. So I think that's awesome. And I also have done a lot of work with Native Americans in South Dakota, because that's where I went to college. And I've always thought, it's best if somebody who maybe like looks like somebody goes and kind of to their people and reaches them. I think there's just a better chance that people will listen. So I love that idea, man. I really hope that you will pursue that, because I feel like, especially within the inner city of our country, there's a lot of youth, there's a lot of fatherless youth that they need somebody like you that's not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Awesome. So I definitely, I'm excited to see Gorillafit grow. Now, let's get into, as we kind of head towards the finish line of our conversation, let's get into Team Universe 2022, overall bodybuilding, open men's champ. Why did you choose to do that show specifically and not like USA's or North Americans or nationals? And then why don't you just talk about last Saturday and the overall experience?
Yeah, so me and my coach, we chose that show. Honestly, just the timing was right. We were at the point where we were coming up at the end of our off season, and we just decided on that show. When I first thought about doing a national show, I thought about doing the one in December, which I think is in Florida, but we weren't going to have like a long off season. And for me, I wanted to, still work on putting on some quality muscle, working on things. And me and my coach, we both agreed upon that. So once we agreed upon that, that's kind of where it took us. So then, around January, getting close to December, that's when we kind of started looking at shows. And we just decided to pick NPC Universe. It was not too far into the summer. For me, I guess I'm not like the standard bodybuilding guy. I don't know how everyone else chooses things, but for me, I still like to have a life outside of this. So, one of the things I told my coach, obviously if I have to, I will, but, prepping over the summer and, things like that for me, that's not something I want to do. I did in my first show when I did the Big Cat, and that was something that I really, for me, myself, I know I really struggle with, summers when you have free time, it's nice out, you want to spend time with family and friends. And if, anyone that knows bodybuilding sport, you sacrifice all of that when you do this. So for me, sacrificing my summers is not something that I want to do. So we chose that show. It was at the beginning of July, so I still have majority of my summer left to be able to, spend with my significant other, my family, my friends, and, kind of enjoying myself still. So that's the reason why we chose that show. And as far as our last week went, man, it was a great experience, from start to finish. I was first, honored to be there and be able to be on that stage with all the rest of those guys. But also it's just a great experience because, like I said, it's my first national show. It's only my third show ever. And, obviously in the bodybuilding world, that's a great deal for someone to go pro in their third show. And, in the moment I didn't realize, obviously when you first hear your name called and winning, you don't realize what you just did until maybe probably like moments later. Like I didn't realize what I did and, what I really accomplished till probably like a day later. It was like starting to kind of sink in like, wow, I'm a pro now. I don't have to do any amateur shows. Now from this point on, it's pro shows, then trying to go to Olympia. So, it was a great experience. And then also, my entire family was there because I'm from New Jersey. I live in Maryland now, but I'm from New Jersey. So my mother was there, my grandmother was there, my aunts, my uncle, my stepdad, my cousins, my friends, I had so many people. I had about 15, 20 people there. My significant other, her aunt, her grandmother, I had so many people there, and it was my grandmother's birthday. So, winning on her birthday, being able to give her the trophy, because I gave her my trophy, my medal. I don't have any of that stuff or any of my medals or trophies. Actually, every show I won or any competition I ever had, football, my all conference trophies or whatever it is from football and, state titles and jackets and rings, all that stuff I give to my grandmother because she loves having it, showing it all. So, being able to win that show on her birthday and be able to give her that medal and that trophy and just being there to be able to win. My mom see me win, my grandmother see me win. It was a great experience, man.
So during pre-judging stuff, were you in the middle for the first call outs the entire time? Did you get moved around? What were your thoughts after pre-judging? Did you know that you had it in the bag, so to speak, or not necessarily?
Yeah. So in pre-judging, I didn't move at all. They kept me in the center. They brought a taller guy next to me. That was the only person that they moved closer to me and was actually moved. So I knew it was between me and him. But do I ever think or consider that I had things in the bag? Yeah, I want to have the confidence that I know when I step on stage, I'm gonna win. But whoever's in the sport knows that's not how it always goes. There's a lot of different things that play into, who they pick, what gets picked, so to have the ultimate confidence in myself that, if we had to go to pre-judging and they took us through, the ringer like they did in the morning with posing us back to back to back to back, I was prepared to do it and, whatever happened would happen from there. But I knew that I was either first or second at that point. I didn't move. So for me, I figured I was first and just had to do what I needed to do, come in tighter, or if not the same look that I had in the morning and, and do what I was supposed to in the afternoon, which I did. And, we came out with the win.
For sure, man, for sure. Now, was Steve Weinberger the head judge then at that competition?
I don't think so. I know he was on the side. Okay. So he had some input on certain things. Because I did see him like walk up to a couple of the judges, and I don't know if he told him to take us through another round. I felt like he was the person who told him to take us through like another round when we were up there posing. But I don't think he was the head judge. I forget the guy's name who was the head judge. It was a younger guy though.
Okay. Probably Tyler Mannion, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my point in bringing that up is, because you're out there in the New Jersey area, it's like you've got, if Tyler Mannion was the head judge, if you had Steve Weinberger present, I mean, for you now as an IFBB pro, having those two guys who are elite judges, I mean, at the top, they do all the pro shows and Olympias and stuff. Like, that's pretty awesome to have those eyes on you at an amateur show when you turn pro. I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was able to talk to Steve actually afterwards when I stepped off stage, and I had a quick conversation with him. I asked him, obviously like anyone else does, what did I need to work on, or how did I look? And he told me, he said I looked amazing, condition was spot on. He said just put on a little bit more quality size, and he actually told me, he would love to see me do New York Pro. So that's something that I'm considering. Me and my coach spoke about it. That's something that we're considering. And but yeah, getting words like that from him, like you said, is definitely a special moment. And like I said, getting words from somebody like him to tell me that I look good, condition was great. I have a complete physique. Just got put on a little bit more quality size. It was good to hear that.
Yeah, 1,000%, man. All right, so you kind of mentioned New York Pro, but I want to ask you, Tyrone, how far do you, sitting here today as a freshly crowned IFBB Pro, how far do you want to take this bodybuilding thing as a professional? Are you the type of guy that's like Olympia or bust, or is there more to it than just that as a long-term goal?
I mean, honestly, the ultimate goal now that I'm here is obviously to achieve the highest level. If now I'm a pro, there's no reason to not try to achieve the Olympia. Honestly, that'd be a waste to go so hard to achieve a pro card, to not try to achieve or give myself a couple years to try to achieve, the Olympia stage. Now from there, honestly, I just want to take full advantage of what the bodybuilding world offers, as far as, taking advantage of networking, sponsors, endorsements, and making a name for myself in this world, and kind of keep that ball rolling from there. I see a lot of these pro guys, like I said, I personally train now, and I love doing it. Don't get me wrong, but if I could do what some of these other pro guys do, and they wake up, they eat, they work out, the regimen is structured. They obviously, it can be stressful, but they have a lot of peace with what they're doing. It makes the process of bodybuilding a lot easier when you're able to just do bodybuilding and nothing else. So, if I could get to that point where, I have just money flowing in from different sources of incomes, as far as just my merchandise brand going up, as far as, endorsements, sponsors, things of that nature, that's where I want to take this, and ride it out to where I can ride it out for a few years and, go from there. Do I want to bodybuild the rest of my life? Absolutely not. Do I want to bodybuild until, I see some of these guys 50, 60 on stage, maybe I'll do it for like a birthday thing or something like that. I turned 50. Let me see if I still got it. But do I want to, compete for that long? Absolutely not. I'm going to just be honest with myself. Like I said, this sport takes a lot of sacrifice. And it's not just hard on you, it's hard on the people that surround you. So I'm realistic, like I said, I'm 28, so I got some years in me, but definitely not something I want to do the rest of my life. So I want to have a plan to, take advantage of everything I can that this sport has to offer.
Yeah, no, that's a great mindset. What do you like to do kind of outside of bodybuilding? You said that you kind of like your summers, you like to chill, you like to have some time to yourself and your significant other. So what's fun to Tyrone outside of bodybuilding prep and lifting weights and all the sports stuff?
Well, actually, one thing, I'm a foodie, I'm a bodybuilder. Granted, I love eating clean, but I love my sweets. So that's something I love doing outside of bodybuilding, is going to new restaurants and trying out new foods, things of that nature. Obviously keeping it to, moderation, not going out every night to eat, whatever, but, doing that in moderation. And also, big on watching TV. I'm a simple guy. I like watching TV, occasionally play my game. And, you know, like I said, me and my significant other, we love going out to eat, going to the movies, and kind of just trying new things out. But also our biggest thing is just vacation. You know, we like going on vacation. So actually next weekend, supposed to be going to Florida. So this will be my first time traveling since my birthday in January when we went to Mexico. So that's like since I've been an adult and, you know, been able to, you know, have some money to do different things. That's probably my number one thing is just traveling. Since I've been out of college and, you know, stopped pursuing football and was able to start making some money, that's kind of been my main thing is just to experience different places, go different places, you know, stamp up my passport. So, you know, next year trying to go to a couple of different places outside the country. So that's probably my biggest thing is just traveling, experiencing new things. And like I said, I love watching TV. Probably one of my favorite shows, which I never thought I would even like it. But Law and Order SVU, that's probably like my number one show. I watched all 23 seasons and I'm actually starting it over again. So yeah, like I said, man, I'm just a simple guy. Like I said, for me, everything is routine and structured, but I love food. Like I said, love going to new restaurants. This weekend, my family members are here. We're going to amusement park tomorrow. So like, you know, just different things like that, you know, just getting away, like I said, you know, being able to spend some time outside of just working out, you know, like I said, when you go through prep, you're very structured, you know, like I said, it's a very stressful time for you and anyone who's around you, you know, because everything is very structured, it's very time oriented. Everything has to be right. So, you know, going through that to now, you know, now I'm just trying to take my time. Like I said, I get back into my reverse diet next week, get back to my, you know, lifting light, you know, getting back into the swing of things. And then from there, you know, we'll see how the off season goes. But yeah, that's why I enjoy doing, man. Just traveling, eating, and watching TV.
I'm curious, Tyrone, where did the interest in traveling kind of come from? Because I mean, not everybody's like that, you know, and where did that come from for you personally?
Honestly, probably after my first time, I mean, I traveled a lot as a kid with my grandmother. We used to always go like down south. I have a lot of family members that live like in Alabama and Atlanta, Tennessee, all over down south. But since I've been an adult, probably I would say the first time after going to Miami in college. I went to Miami with my friends in college, and after that, I'm like, I gotta get out more. I'm like, it's a different world when you go to different places. So, you know, my first couple of trips that I did back in college, because Miami's a cheap trip, I went to Miami probably like 3-4 times. So, you know, after doing that, and like I said, I started to be able to make a little bit more money. You know, that's when I started going different places like LA. Went to Arizona a few times, been to Vegas, Puerto Rico, Mexico twice, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, you know, the list goes on. You know, North Carolina. I've been to so many places now, but just seeing different places, you know, like I said, me being a foodie, I follow so many food places that sometimes, you know, when we go to places, you know, I'm making sure that I'm going to the places that I looked up on Instagram and things of that nature. But that's kind of what kind of got the ball rolling, was going to Miami, I think back in college, and experiencing that vacation as a kind of like an adult, to where I was able to like do things without my parents around or like my mother around. You know, it's different when you're a kid. When you're a kid, you know, it's vacation, but, you know, as a kid, you're going to the pool, you're hanging out in the hotel. You know, as an adult, you can go, you know, drink and, you know, do whatever little things that you like to do. So I think that's probably what got the ball rolling, was going to Miami back in college.
Cool. Now I got to ask you, I currently live in Iowa, but I used to live out in Colorado. Have you ever been out to Colorado before?
No, but I do want to go because I heard it's very beautiful out there, and also I want to go like snowboard or skiing.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so here's the thing, because obviously, you know who Phil Heath is. He lived out in Denver for years. He trained out of Armbrust Pro Gym, which is there in Denver. I've met Dylan, the owner. Awesome guy. So seriously, put Colorado on your bucket list. Get out there, train at Armbrust Pro Gym. It's got a great bodybuilding community out there in Denver, but the scenery, the mountains, it's pretty hard to put into words. It's just different. It's different in a great way. So you got to get out there at some point. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would definitely do that. And that's actually been on my to-do list there. And actually, for some reason, me and my girlfriend, we want to do the Minnesota State Fair. So it's definitely some few places that we've been looking at to do like different.
Yep, for sure. Yeah. And Charles Griffin, you know who he is, right?
Yeah.
He's up in Minneapolis. So if you ever get into the Minnesota area, reach out to him. He's been on the podcast a couple of times. Super awesome guy, man. He's going to the Olympia this year, and I'm sure you could probably train with him. He would probably definitely hook you up. So, all right, Tyrone, we're gonna wrap it up here. I got one more question I kind of want to ask you. Maybe just speaking to somebody similar to your background, a young person that's maybe they've never heard of bodybuilding. Maybe they're thinking about getting into bodybuilding. What's some advice for a younger person with a similar background to you that you would maybe like to share some words of wisdom, or something that maybe you wish you would have known about bodybuilding when you first got into it?
I would say, honestly, it's probably one of the best things you can do, man. As far as like, maybe not mentally, it does help you because it tests you. It tests your will, tests you how much, on whether or not how much you want to actually be fit and actually be healthy. I would say mentally, but physically wise, man, it puts you in the best shape of your life. My advice to them would be like, if you want to live longer, live better, this is something that you would want to get into, man. Because, like I said, man, the way you eat, how regimented everything is, normal people don't live like us. So it's like, you have all these people who have all these health issues and diseases and things of that nature. And like, when you're a bodybuilder, not saying we don't get sick or, things like that, but, we have to take supplements. We have to take all our vitamins. These are things that normal people aren't doing. And this is something that I would definitely tell someone to get into, because like I said, man, you've been in the best shape of your life, man. I played football, I wrestled, I ran track. This is the best I felt out of all those years, and that should say a lot to anyone who's like an athlete. You obviously get some people who say, some sports guys say, eat what you want and you can still play good. Granted, you can. There's some people who did it. I did it. A lot of football players do it, but you could play and be so much better if you were eating better, you were watching what you're putting into your body, if you were taking your vitamins, if you were drinking enough water, just doing the basic things, So definitely, I would tell a younger person, this is something that you would definitely want to get into if you want to be the best version of yourself. Even if you don't want to just get into the sport, you just want to live a bodybuilder lifestyle and do something else. This is the best way to go about it, man. Because like I said, the best as I've ever felt. I'm 20 years old, and like, I feel my energy, my skin, everything that, as far as like health wise, is better now than I was when I was playing football, and I had pretty high blood pressure because I was eating too much sodium and things that you wouldn't even think of, because I'm an athlete, and now, like I said, I'm in the best shape of my life. So that would be my advice, man. It's just get into it if you want to be the best version of yourself, man.
Cool. Awesome. Great words of wisdom and advice. Tyrone, I want to, first of all, thank you for coming on, man, to the podcast,
Absolutely.
Sharing your story. Great conversation. Before I do the outro, I want to give you an opportunity to say any final thoughts, any final words that you have. Make sure you give us your Instagram, give us where the website for Gorillafit, any other shout outs, thank yous you want to give. The platform's yours, and then I'll do the outro and that'll be a wrap.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So first, man, I want to thank my girlfriend, my mom, all my support and my whole support system. I want to thank my coach, Mark Stretch Armstrong. You can look him up on Instagram. My coach, he's helped me develop, and we've gotten better each year, and we constantly get better. And our relationship has grown into like a family now. Start off as my coach and just a friend, but now he's family, man. And that's somebody that I really appreciate. He's really honest with me. He's upfront with me, and he pushes me. And if anyone's looking for a coach, it's someone that is, not gonna hold any punches and expect the best from you, and actually be there for you. This is somebody that I would definitely suggest, man. And not be just because my coach, but he's a great guy. Just to put it in perspective, this is somebody who did NPC Universe with me, was spot on with my game plan, had to be spot on with himself, and also still had to, take care of his daughter. He had to be there for his wife. So that just should let you know what type of man he is to be able to do that and still be there for his guys and be there for himself and his family, man. So definitely somebody I want to, shout out. And as far as my Instagram is _Gorillafit, one word, _, very simple. My link for my website is in my bio. If you don't have an Instagram or you don't want to click on that, the name of the website is www.gorillafitfitness, all one word, .com. Same thing, very simple. And same, like I said, I sell meal plans. I also sell workout plans and also sell merchandise. I have t-shirts. I have the hoodies are going to get restocked, but I have t-shirts, tank tops. Also have weight trimmers, and also have 3-piece sets for ladies, 2 different colors. Both of those are on the sites. And yeah, man, I would love for anyone, just to support, if you know anyone that's interested. Also in training, they're in the DMV, which is Maryland, the Maryland, Virginia area. That's where I'm a trainer at. Anyone looking to get Gorilla Fit, come sign up. So, but yeah, man, that's where my shout outs are, man. Like I said, to my whole supporting cast, my coach, and I just want to make sure I, thank them. Also thank God, man. I don't know if anyone, I'm not too religious, and if any people are super religious, but, to be honest, man, you can't do it without him or whoever you believe in, man. Make sure you just consistently have faith, consistently thank him, and, he'll get the job done.
Excellent. If somebody wants to touch base with you kind of just personally, is Instagram probably the best way to reach out to you, Tyrone?
Yeah. Instagram, from there, I can give you my communication as far as where we could talk after that. But yeah, Instagram is the best way to reach me. Could DM me, or you can also go on my website. I have a contact form you can fill out, and that gets sent directly to me. If you send put in your name, your email and number, that can get sent directly to me, and I can contact you via phone. So either email, like I said, direct message, or through the website. Either one works.
All right. Excellent. Tyrone, I appreciate your time today. Okay, my man?
Absolutely. Same here. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. All of you who are tuning into another episode of Behind the Muscle podcast, I just want to say thank you to you. If it wasn't for all of you, the podcast wouldn't exist. A couple of quick things as we wrap up today's conversation with Tyrone. Please hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Also, take this episode with Tyrone, share it on your Instagram stories. Make sure you tag Behind the Muscle, tag Tyrone, so that we know you listened specifically to this episode and found great value in it, in which I know you did. And then I will leave you all with this. Remember, behind the muscle, there's always a story. We'll catch you guys later.
Absolutely.